Hello, hello, my friends. AmyR here with Prairie Paper and Ink. Welcome back to my face and my card making space. And a couple of cards using some of the newest November 2025 release from Altenew. I am part of a video hop today to share inspiration. More info on that will be in the description box below, along with links to the next hop, etc., etc. And of course, links to the new release and everything I use also will be in the description box below. My links are affiliate links. That just means that if you click on one of my links and end up placing an order, I get a little kickback from that at no extra cost to you. It's what helps pay the bills, keeps the lights on, enables me to keep bringing out content. And yeah, made a couple cards, embossing folder, stencils, some new inks. I pulled out my wax seal supplies. I haven't done anything with wax seals in a hot minute. It's been a while. I love wax seals. I love playing with them more than anything. If I remember, I'll post my playlist of the videos I've done over the years with wax seals. Tons more info in those, etc. So I'll put that in the end as well. And yeah, splatter, of course, all the fun things. So without further ado, let's get into making these cards. So I'm using the Dancing Cosmos embossing folder, and I ran it through my Empress die cutting machine. And with Altenew's embossing folders and the Empress, one cutting plate, the folder and cardstock, and the magnetic plate is what works for me. Sometimes if I feel the need, I'll add the metal shim. It just depends. So I embossed panels of white cardstock. This is Nina 80 pound. I don't know why I grabbed 80 pound. 110 pound would have worked. Probably even better. It just would have had more weight to it. But they both embossed beautifully. And they both work with these inks. So after I embossed the cardstock, I stuck it to my grip mat. And I'm using the coordinating stencil set that adds all the color. And love. Not only the stencils, this set especially, super easy. Beyond easy. The layering guides with the stencils, like in the packaging, you open it up, it shows. But this one is another one of those ones where it's just super simple to line things up, especially if you emboss first. It's up to your personal preference. You could do the stenciling first and then run it through with the embossing folder. My personal preference is to emboss first, then use the stencils. Sometimes I got to hold the stencils down a little bit here and there because, you're stenciling over raised edges and things. But I find it just easier, though, to line up the stencils with the embossing. You can't really see it on screen, but the stencils also have all the little etch lines and everything so that you can line things up whether you have the embossing folder or just don't want to use it. And then for the first one I did, I'm using one of the new combos of ink because Altenew released 3 more sets of ink colors. Again, do we need a million colors? No. Am I here for it? Heck yeah. The more colors, the merrier. It just makes me happy. And this combo, oh, love. This is Moonlit Twilight, and they're like, I would call these muted purples. They're a little bit, I don't want to say dusty because, that sounds bad, but they're more muted purples, with a little bit more of a gray undertone to them, and love them. Beautiful, beautiful colors. I hope down the road we get cardstock and, all the things to go with these because I love them. So I used all 4. You could also keep the stenciling simpler. You don't need to use 4 colors. Like you saw, I went lightest to darkest on each little section of the petals, lightest at the tips, and then deepening the color at the base of all the petals. But you could just do everything in one or just a couple colors. But one, I was loving those purples. And yeah. And then for the greenery, I used the Sage Garden, which is another new set of 4 inks. I only used the medium dark, and the darkest for the greenery. I didn't use the very lightest shade, or maybe I did. Honestly, I was filming all this late in the evening, and yeah. Oh, I've got them right in front of me. Ha! and on screen. There we go. So the exact colors: sage stone, olive grove, mossy granite, lurbit. The centers were honey drizzle and raw amber. And then the second panel I had embossed, I didn't film this, but I used the Glacier Caves fresh dye ink set to make those blue cosmos. So good. I've said this before. One, large florals. I'm here for it. But also, like, cosmos, they're such beautiful flowers. I'll never get enough of them. They're just fun. This was fun. Okay, wax seals. So like I said, I will hopefully remember to link to my little playlist. And I love them. I have an insane collection of like wax beads and the metal stampers and just all the accessories and accoutrement. I collect them. I have for years. They're just fun to play with. Whether whether I put them on cards or tags or whatever, I don't care. I love it. You can get now like a little electric warmers. People have mentioned that. I genuinely love my little tea light and my little wax melting furnace. I love it. I will sit here and melt. And I didn't film the whole part because it's repetitive, but I'm not even kidding. I redid them more times than I can count. More because I was just having fun. So I got my little tea light going. As always, make sure if you're using tea lights and open flame, and because we're working with paper and lots of flammable things, so I always make sure that space is cleared, even on my messy desk, which you can even see I've got stuff piled up, but I keep space around it cleared, and I don't leave my spot with that tea light lit. Like, I am sitting here the entire time until I blow that candle out. I'm not going to leave it unattended because it is an open flame. But I get it going, I get my little spoon, put some wax beads in, and melt. And I will sit there and I will stir it and I will play with it. I can't help it. And I am working on, this is Altenew's little silicone. It's a stamping mat, but because it's silicone, it's perfect to pour onto, like pour the wax onto, because the wax, the seals will just pop right off of it. You can also pour directly on your project. I have done that in other videos. That one requires a little extra confidence. I had plans for how I wanted to do these cards, so that's why I'm doing them separately. So I used Dreamy Periwinkle was the first one. Yes, and then these are the sapphire wax beads. There's a bunch of colors to choose from. They're all beautiful. And you can mix and match too. Mix different colors, swirl them together, whatever works. And if you've never done it, but you're wanting to get into it, it just takes a bit of practice. I hadn't done it in a while, so you start to get a feel for it, especially depending on the stamper. Like the one I'm using, this is the sunflower wax seal stamp. It's big. He's a big boy, so you need more wax for it. So if I didn't like how it turned out the first time, as you can see, I rip it up, or you can cut it up and remelt it over and over again. Who cares? It's just wax. So that's what I did. And then I kept doing it. I was playing with it. It was fun. Every time when I pull it out again and play and make wax seals, I was like, this is why I love it. I love sitting there and stirring it. Always be careful though. Again, that little spoon that you melt the wax in, extremely hot. You can let the wax cool in it. Like I pour it out, I let it cool, and I put what's left over in the container. You can let the spoon completely cool off and the wax will just peel out of the inside. Or I'll just use paper towel and wipe it out while it's hot. Again, just be super careful because it is hot. And then I let everything cool off. I blow up my candle, let everything completely cool down before I put it away. So I set those aside. We'll come back to the wax seals later. I also use this Bubbly Bumblebee layering die set. He's so cute. I love him. I made 4 of them. 2 for the card fronts, and then I made 2 more because I was like, they're going on the inside of the cards. Like, look, he's just this fat little bumblebee. I love him. I love this die. I love bumblebees in real life. I love them. Like, when they start showing up around here, around my little flowers and stuff, later in the spring and in the summer, it just makes me happy. Nothing cuter than, big fat old bumblebee curled up in my flowers. So I assembled him. That vellum I used is an iridescent vellum. I don't have a link for it. It's nowhere to be found. However, I will link to a similar sort of shimmery vellum, and that's what I used for the wing pieces. How cute. You could also use just a really, really pale, either like a white cardstock or regular vellum, or a really, really pale blue. That would work fabulously as well. But I've got tons of vellum, so that's what I used for my little bumblebees. And then I adhered them to my card fronts. I had trimmed those down. The panels that I had run through with the embossing folder and stenciled, I trimmed them down to about 4 and 5 1/4 inches, just a bit smaller than an A2 card front. And then I adhered my little bumblebees with just some thin foam adhesive. And then I'm going to add splatter to these. So I used my little metallic watercolor palette, added some water to it, worked it up really well, put it on an acrylic block, and then just dragged my brush against the edge of the acrylic block to splatter across these backgrounds, like all the splatter, because it's just going to add some shimmer, which, 1, love shimmer, 2, love splatter. So I did all of that. And then for my sentiments, this is the November's Craft Your Life project kit, the Honeycomb Haven. I'm looking forward to doing my more projects with this. I used just a couple sentiments from the stamp set in the kit, but I'll be using more. And I have I went with Starlight cardstock for this. So I have Starlight cardstock and Honey Drizzle cardstock. And I cut the cardstock to slightly larger than my embossed panels. And I took a sentiment, made sure it was straight, got it in place. I used anti-static powder on the cardstock, and then I inked up and stamped the sentiment with Altenew's Cloud White pigment ink. And I would lightly ink up the stamp and lightly stamp it. And I did that multiple times versus like mushing ink on the stamp and mushing the stamp onto the cardstock to try and not lose the detail, And then once I had it stamped, I coated it with white embossing powder, melted it with my heat tool. I did the same thing with the yellow cardstock. Once everything was embossed, I buffed off that excess anti-static powder with a microfiber cloth. Then, to see the sentiment, I need to cut apart my embossed panel. So I just kind of held it to where the sentiment was and just made little tick marks with a pencil above and below the sentiment. Didn't bother measuring and gave myself like about 1/2 inch, Once I had those little tick marks, I then put this into my paper trimmer and cut these panels apart. So then I'll have the top and the bottom, and then there's going to be a gap to show the sentiment. Now I could just adhere these panels just with glue. That would keep things a little less dimensional, and it would work fine. But I decided to pop these up with some thin foam tape. So I'm just using my Big Mama foam tape for this. And again, that'll create just a little bit of dimension. I thought about using Altenew's instant dimension foam tape, but that would have created a lot more dimension, which is fine. I would have done that, but because I'm also adding the wax seals, and the wax seals have some thickness and weight to them, I decided to taper back on the foam dimension. So I put the foam tape on the back, pop these into place, and now the sentiments can be seen. And then I also pulled out some metallic thread because I like building little like thread nests to go under the wax seals just for funsies. So this is a little Altenew metallic thread pack that I bought eons ago. I've used the gold and the sort of champagne color many times. I've never used the silver one. And I was like, oh, it goes with the shimmer. This is perfect. So to make my little thread nest, I just wrapped thread around my fingers. I'd put a little piece of foam tape there that's going to get hidden by the wax seal. And then to adhere the wax seal, I have these little stickers that are meant for wax seals. The thing with wax seals is trying to adhere them isn't the easiest because they're wax. They will repel pretty much everything. Most liquid adhesives, I have yet to find a liquid adhesive that actually works with a wax seal. I prefer what I call a dry adhesive. So like foam tape works awesome. These little stickers, I'll have a link to them, also works. Altenew's Ultra Sticky Tape, could have used that as well. I could have just cut a little square of it. That works amazingly because again, these are wax. They just, they just don't want to stick to anything. So I put those little stickers on the back And then I also made sure to press them into that little bit of foam tape. So it's like double the adhesive, and that holds them into place. So once those were done, I used the Moonlit Twilight enamel dots for the purple card because it goes with the inks. I don't have the Glacier Caves enamel dots. I went through my stash and I was like, seriously. But instead I just used the Marine Life, which was close enough. Close enough. Not an exact match, but meh. So put a few of those onto each of these cards. Just peeling them off. They're peel and stick because they're self-adhesive. So I just peel them off with my little perfect picker. And on the insides of the cards, which I'll show at the end, I didn't film it, but I just stamped another sentiment from that Craft Your Life project kit, the Honeycomb Haven one. I'd stamped a sentiment with obsidian ink on the insides of the cards and then added the other little die-cut bees that I had done, and that finished them off. So we've got texture and embossing and splatter and wax seals and metallic thread and all the things. And these were fun. Just switching up the colors, what I keep saying, I'll keep beating that drum. It's, you don't need 5 bajillion supplies and you don't need 5 million colors. I do. And that's half the fun, is just doing the same thing, but just in a different color combo and how it creates a different look. So those were my cards. Links and info and all the things will be in the description box below the video. Thank you all so very much for hanging out with me and thumbs upping and commenting. I very much appreciate it. And I will see you all very soon in the next video. Bye. Thank you so much to my amazing Patreon supporters. For anyone that might be interested in joining my Patreon community and supporting me, the link to my Patreon is in the description box below the video. For everyone else, as always, thank you all so much for taking the time to watch my videos, for thumbs upping, commenting, subscribe if you haven't, I'd love to have you. And here's a couple other videos for you to check out in case you missed them. Bye!